you guys. And we talked about this a bit at camp, and I know I really hit on it with high school. Make Wednesday nights a priority. Make Wednesday nights a priority. I want you to be here this Wednesday night. We are just going to be focusing on upcoming school year. We're going to be praising, and we're just going to be looking at all the amazing things coming up and celebrating what has been an incredible, incredible summer. So join us this Wednesday night. Be a part. Don't miss out. 6:30, we will be done by 7:45. And then the week after that, you guys start school. So this Wednesday, we're going to figure out how can we make this school year exciting and how can you look forward to this school year. And I know it seems impossible, but that's what we're going to be talking about this Wednesday. So we will not have service that Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after that, August 30th, is going to be family game night, and that is going to be a night for you, for your families, all together, and we are just going to be doing a big competition night. If your families don't normally come here to church, you can bring them here that night. If your families are like, I'm not going, but you still want to come, then you'll be on a temporary family that night. All right, you can join my family, you can join Ethan's family, you can join Colin's, you can join anybody else's family. We will throw you in with the family. Don't worry. So if you're like, my parents don't come here, or they go to a different church, or they're not going to come that night, can I still come? Yep. You're going to be temporarily adopted for a night, and you will join somebody's family, all right? We will figure it out. We'll figure it out. So it's going to be a fun night, though. If you've been a part of, our family trivia nights, it is hilarious to see. I can always figure out, that super competitive kid. There's usually a super competitive mom or dad that's driving that's even more competitive. It's like, no! And it's so much fun. So it's going to be a good night. And then September, we will have our first Exodus XL kickoff. It's going to be phenomenal. So good stuff. Good stuff coming up. Good stuff coming up. And then we'll have October XL, and then we'll have our October collective night with Damien and his group, and then we're going to have 500 people out there. It's going to be awesome. So, tons of stuff, guys, tons of stuff. Focus will be starting back up the Sunday right after Labor Day weekend. So, we got everything. So, I know you're not excited about school, but we are excited about the fall because there's tons of good stuff. Chloe Love, what is what? Okay, so good question. This was supposed to be the trophy for our basketball and our dodgeball winner. But you guys didn't sign it. No one signed it. And so I meant to grab a Sharpie marker and I forgot he was up here. So Austin's going to find a Sharpie marker. This wonderful trophy is brought to you by one of our church elders, Mr. Brandon Jackley. Purchases. He flew to the islands and brought it back. He's been carving it and working on it. So who is our basketball 3-on-3 winner? Who's our basketball winner? I need representation. Come on. Is your whole team here to sign? Your whole team? You're gonna have to fill out their names on it, though. Should we do all the team members or just their team name? Just team name. All right. Let's put it on the back for now, okay? Just put your team name. What was your team name?
Pink Panthers.
Pink Panthers. Wait, you were a middle school team and you beat the high school team? Whoa. Way to go. All right, so just write your Pink Panther. And who was our dodgeball champion? Dodgeball champion. What was your guys' names? Oh, that's right. The GV. Is Haley here? Oh, man. I wish that was on video. All right, Olivia. What? Oh, yeah, put the year on there. Just put 2-3 next there. All right. Olivia, you can just write GV. Hey, who was on that team? Who was on the GV team? Just throw up your hand real quick. Marius, I see that hand. Is that it? Oh, were you on the team or are you just throwing up your hand? All right. Yeah, I mean, one of the games it was just Haley. That was, if you weren't there, it was a camp legend. It was amazing. The crowd got behind her. Everybody's cheering as Haley took out an entire team by herself alone. All right. So, hey, where's everybody going to be this Wednesday night? Right here. Right here. Band? No. Don't go. Don't go. Try to be here if you can. Try to be here if you can. All right, let's get into it. What's our team? Wait, is that it? Do we have any other?
To the person that stole my glasses, I will find you. I have contacts.
Solid pun, Will. You did not disappoint me. You did not disappoint. Good job. All right, let's do a little team competition. I'm going to need Marin and Ethan. Come on up here. If you guys can grab some microphones from right there. So far for this month, we have 6th grade girls with 5 million, 7th grade girls with 5 million. Wait. How's that possible? Didn't we start over last week? We didn't? Whatever. We'll continue it. 10th grade, 5 million. 12th grade, 0.5 million. 0.5 million for 12th grade. Well done, seniors. Well done. I don't know what you did to deserve that, but
hello?
Sure is amazing.
All
right. This game is a little tricky. I'm going to need one person from every team to come forward. Just one person. So leaders help us out. Leaders help out. Find people. Send one person, and you're going to stand right here. Guessing words. When the time runs out, whoever you're in front of, I'm just going to go all the way down the line.
Is it like a relating word?
And if whoever's on the word, no, it's going to be a mixture of words. Okay. And you have to guess a word, like 5 different letters. And you come up with a word, and then it goes to the next one. The next person's going to make it repeat. So you are going to be in charge of making sure there's no repeating words.
All right. Line up.
All right, students, line up down here right on the stage facing ours.
Stage.
We played this game before. It's called Word Race. Sit down. Just go down there. Right down there. Right down there. Go down the step. Go down on the floor. Go down on the floor. All right. It is called Word Race. So, can you throw up the instructions on that? We've done this before. There is going to be a mixture of 5 or 6 letters. I forget. And then you are going to come up with a word for, you got to use any of those, all right? So if the letters are T, O, N, E, and an A, you could just come up with the word one, all right? And then it passes to the next person. And you're going to come up with another word. And then it passes to the next person. You are not allowed to repeat words. And wherever the microphone lands, when the time runs out, if you don't have a word ready, you're out of the game.
Is there an example slide?
Do what?
Is there an example slide?
Yeah, let's do number 1 as an example. So go ahead. So here would be an example. So you could look at those, and you can also look back there if you can. So you would say the word?
Van.
Van, correct. Go to the next person.
Donut.
And speak up loudly.
A donut.
There is no O in there, so you keep going. Keep going. No, she would keep going. Yeah, she's got to guess a word. Get. You got. Please yell loudly in the microphone. Turn blue up.
E.
Correct. All right, so now we know how to play, okay? Now we know how to play the game.
Can they repeat letters?
We're going to start all the way down there. Do what?
Session.
Yeah, so hey. So remember, you just can't say a word that someone else has said. Audience, if you hear a word repeated, let us know. So if Maria said and then it came down, and then Beckham said and, you guys got to like no, but you're not out. You just keep going. You get out by the time the timer runs out. Okay, gotcha. Okay, ready? Let's go ahead and start down here. Word race and begin.
Got.
Log.
Band.
Log. No. Bag. Bag.
Lot.
Logan. Back. Ton. Tag. Tan. Goat. Tong.
Did you say Tom? You said Tom.
Fan. Bang. Lab.
Oh, Delaney, you are out. Delaney, go sit down. Go sit down. All right, we're going to start down here. All right, now here's the deal. Second round. If you say a word that's already been said, you're out. And so, Ethan, if they say a word that's already been said, they're out. Go to the next person. So make sure you are listening. Make sure you are listening, and please speak loudly into the microphone. All right, next round. Here we go.
Doc. Cold. Back. Block. Do. Cod.
Oh, he said cod.
Bold. Bow.
Kobe. Doc.
Was that already said? Did someone say Doc?
Yes, Doc was said.
You're out. Keep going.
Did someone say block already? Block? Is that said?
Mock?
I don't think so.
Block?
No.
Block.
Oh, it was?
No, block.
Lock? You're out.
Doc? Wait, he's out?
He's out. Block was said.
Doc?
No, lock with an L.
Block. Block was not said.
Doc.
Doc was said. Sorry, you're out.
We got to keep track of who said what.
All right. Come down here a little bit.
We got to keep track of what's said because we can't remember all.
Yeah. Well, they got to be loud too, so people can hear them.
Y'all can repeat letters. So, like doll, it has 2 L's. You can do that. You just can't repeat what someone else has said.
And then you could say dole.
What?
What did you say? No.
Don't do that.
No, you can only use that letter. You can't double letters in there. So you can't say like B and then B.
I was
Like,
playing
you
Wordle.
can't add on. All right.
Here
we go.
Be confident with your words. Don't just say,
Yeah, be loud and say it out. All right, here we go. Next one, go.
Baby?
or.
Lay. Ray.
Loud.
I don't know this word. I don't know if this counts. BRB.
BRB?
Oh, dang.
Not a word.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Oh, no! All right.
we're starting with you.
So we'll just start here with the next
Do I have
one.
to go back around?
So
Yes.
you'll go here and then run down to her.
All right. Everyone be ready.
Here we go. Here we go. Next one.
Rope. Rep. Rose. Mop. Palm.
Rose. That was already said.
That's fine one.
Ah!
Rim.
Rim?
Sip. Soap. Rise. There's no A for soap.
Oh.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Pose. Way to go, Caden. Ramp.
Said, I think.
Ramp?
Ramp was said.
I thought they said ramp.
Yeah, ramp was,
Oh.
no, ramp was said.
Oh, okay, both were said.
All right, well.
In what? In what? For
there's
what?
No
Oh,
A.
that's true.
What word did he say?
Ramp.
He said ramp, but who
Oh.
else said ramp?
Who said ramp? Yeah, we got
no,
that
but
now.
someone else said it. We said it was a double one.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he did
You're
say
out.
ramp.
Well, whoever said ramp is out.
There might have been no ramp. It might have just been her, but it's still out.
Soap?
No, he went back.
He went
and
back
said,
and
Okay,
another
but
one.
S-O-P-E is a word, by the way. All right, it is a word. Soap.
All right.
It is a traditional Mexican dish. S-O-P-E. So Beckham was just clearly using his culture, and you guys didn't know about it. All right, here we go.
We got two.
All right, down here. Let's start the next one. All right, we gotta pay attention to the words. Follow along. Go.
Read. Day.
Day.
Say day. Dead. Ray. Dad. Ready. Rad. Dan. Ran.
Dan.
Deer. Darn. Darn.
You say darn or yarn?
Yarn.
No, he's
Okay, go. Keep going.
ran dead. No, that was
Said.
what he said.
Already said you're out.
Year.
Ah, Sophia, you're out of here.
You said darn. Like darn, right? You said darn. You said darn and darn.
And then you said darn and repeated what he said. All right, here we go. Here we go. Next one. Next one.
Rat.
Rat.
Ear.
Ring.
Rare.
Not yet.
Rare.
Rare? Was that said?
Said.
That was already said.
That was already said. You're out.
Have a seat.
Dude, there's one right
Come on. You already said it.
What?
You said it. Did someone already say that? Oh, never mind.
Ear. No one
That's
has.
already been said.
It was?
Did somebody say ear?
Oh.
She said ear. You're out.
Quarter.
Go.
Ran. What?
Ran. There's
I
not
don't
an N.
know.
There's not an N.
N.
Oh, that would still be her. So you're the winner. Ellie's the winner.
Way to go.
The time ran out on
Ellie Hunt.
Freshman
All right,
girls.
freshman girls. I'm going to go 10 million because that's a hard game. 10 million points. Freshman girls. Way to go. Way to go.
But it's all right.
Time.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Hey, So we're going to add 10 million to freshman girls, and that puts you guys tied for first
How
place.
did
Pi
12th grade
million?
have pi
For
million?
8th grade guys.
Who
Was
has
that
pi
up
million?
there earlier?
Whoever has pi million is awesome.
And then 12th grade guys have
12th grade
25
girls?
million.
Does anyone know 50 digits of pi?
All right.
Because I do.
3.14149.
Wow.
That's as far as I can go.
Anyone know 50 digits? Anyone? Just me?
No,
All right.
please don't do it.
Wait, Jacob, you know 50?
Exciting. All right.
You know 50?
Hey, before we go into our lesson, we do want to just take a moment as leaders, as staff, just to recognize Ethan and Marin. This is their last. Andrew and I decided after camp we are releasing them. They will no longer. Here's the deal. A couple of our leaders got you guys a little something, and you will still I don't feel like this is their last Sunday with us because Marin will be going off to K-State. Ethan will actually still be going to college, but he's going to be commuting from home, so Ethan will still be around every Sunday, and then we will still get Marin from time to time back here. And so, again, man, students, I want you to understand. To me, the intern program is a huge thing for us to start back up. A lot of our staff members are here because they first got their feet in the door during their college years as internships. My hope for you guys, because it's really difficult sometimes when you see me or Pastor Randall or, Matt or Joel, sometimes you're like, how do you become a pastor? How does that start? You don't just walk into a church, in your 20s and be like, I guess I'm a pastor now. It starts when you're a high school student and you're like, man, I want to learn more about that. How does one go into ministry? What does that look like? And that's really what these intern programs are for. And so my hope is for some of you, as you're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, when you start to get older, and you're like, I think ministry is something I would want to do in my life. We hope that this is something we can continue doing every summer so that as you're graduating and wondering, is that something I could do for a summer to see if ministry's for me? These two have got their experience, and some of it they already knew, but they see it's more than just getting on stage on a Wednesday or Sunday and having fun. There is a lot of prep, a lot of driving back and forth, a lot of driving all over the city, finding random things, preparing, hours and hours of preparing, teaching in Scripture and looking into things, meeting with students, praying with people. There's a lot to it, and they've got to experience a ton, and I'm just going to let you know, these guys have killed it. They have done such an amazing job. Such an amazing job. And they have allowed us to do a lot more than what we could normally have done. And so it's been really cool. And even for me, as a student pastor, just working with them, it's energized me. Normally by this time of the summer, I'm like, we got to do this in September. I'm exhausted and it's tiring, but just working with them and planning with them and brainstorming with them, I'm just excited to jump into everything. And so they've been awesome with you guys, and I want you guys, if that's something that God kind of stirred on your heart during camp or in the future of what would that be like? Begin praying about that. Talk to leadership about it, because this is a job. They were paid during the summer. Not a lot, but they were paid. And if you're going to ministry thinking you're going to get paid a lot, we're just preparing you if that were to happen. So it's been awesome. And so thank you guys so much. You guys, Marin and Ethan, we love you guys so much. Watching them go from students out in those seats to leading, just like so many of our other amazing young adult and college leaders that are here every Sunday and just as important to us. But we just thank you for that. And so thank you guys so much. You guys were awesome. We love you a lot. And I don't want to overshadow anything because we have so many. As a pastor, just looking at, and I see our college and young adult leaders who are here every Sunday. and some of them are married. Some of them have children. Drake has kids, guys. Drake has children. And so a lot of y'all realize, like, a majority of our leaders were all students that I've had the privilege of being a pastor over, from Brett and Drake and Ethan and Courtney and Jill. I'm going to forget people because I know it's dark out. I can't see everybody. From Colin, Caden. So many of them. I can't see everybody if they're out here, but it's just been awesome. Jay would have been one of my students if he went to this church, which that sometimes makes me feel super old. But, it's great. And so let that be an example to you. That's discipleship. And so let's go into things. I don't even care about that bumper video because then I'm just going to stand here awkwardly for 25 seconds while the video plays. So we're going to go right into it. Andrew kicked you guys off last week, and we're talking about the thief of everything. I want you guys, and I'm going to try to go quick because I do want to get you guys small group time, but I want you to really follow along and really be honest over the next few minutes as we dive into this lesson. There is a saying, now I'm going to mess it up now because now I'm trying to figure out what it was. When it comes to comparison, we say comparison is a thief of joy. And so when it talks about the thief of everything, we're talking about comparison. And so if you have a phone out or anything, I want you to put your cell phones away. Scripture will be on the screen. I want you to really follow along. Because comparison, when it talks about the thief of everything, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're a sixth grader. It doesn't matter if you're 60 years old. Every adult, every student in here can struggle when it comes to the idea of comparison. When it comes to this idea of comparison. And so I want us to think about what comparison does and how it can hurt you. I don't know if does any of you have a friend that is just good at everything they do? Everything they do. No matter what. Now, be honest. Keep your hand up. Does it drive you crazy? Okay. All right. Thank you for those that admit you have sin in your heart. I keep my hand up high. So I've shared this with you before. Growing up, I had it took me a while to catch up with everybody else. I wasn't the biggest kid starting out in high school. I kind of hit like a major growth spurt. Some of you have had this where you started out the summer and you grew like half a foot up, during the summertime. And that was kind of me. I was the youngest kid. Anybody got those July, August birthdays? And so you're literally the youngest kid in your entire class. There's you and no one else. For those of you that are sophomores and you're that summer birthday, I'm just letting you know, I feel that pain when you're oh, cool, I just turned 15, and 2 weeks later, your best friends are I just got my license, and you're in the same grade. I feel your pain, all right? I feel your pain. Now, so there was one of my best friends, all right, my closest friends in high school, and I've joked about this before. It was him and his twin brother, but I was really closer to one of them. And so they were the ones, no joke, by sixth grade, they were hitting about 6'1", 6'2". By fifth grade, they were taller than every teacher in elementary school. We go to middle school, and he's I think I got to shave before the bus picks me up. And I'm oh, that's great. And I'm little, and I've talked to you, I started my freshman year, 5'3". If I'm look, I'm almost taller than my mom, and my best friend is, this giant guy, and he was just good at every sport because he was huge. When you're 6'2", 6'3", by the time you're in 8th grade, you don't try out for the basketball team. You're not killing. The coach is oh no, you're playing. Just go right over there. We'll put a uniform on you. You're not trying out for your spot on the football team when you're that huge. They were just big dudes. Their freshman year, they were they were on the freshman team, but starting JV, and they were playing a little bit on the varsity team. And he was awesome, and he looked so much older, so everywhere he was just comfortable with everybody. And he was one of those guys that talked to anybody, and I'm oh, there's a girl coming over here. And I'm tired. He's hey, what's up? And he's just talking to all the girls. And I'm hey, what's up, man? It was just everything. He was just comfortable doing what he did. He was awesome. And I loved him, but it was also dang, man. When am I going to grow up? And so I remember, like, and I've joked about this, like, wrestling wasn't my choice of sport. It was literally the basketball coach when I got cut from the tryouts was like, hey, bud, you might want to think about wrestling in high school. I was like, well, I was thinking about playing football. You might want to think about wrestling in high school. And I didn't get what he was saying until I showed up there. I was like, oh, it's by weight class. Like, I can compete against other guys that aren't growing as well. And so that was why I started this. And so I really got into wrestling, and I really loved it. I loved the sport, and I loved everything about it. And this buddy of mine, our sophomore year, so I had about a year of experience, and I was like, okay. And he came out after we were doing some preseason stuff. They were finishing up football and going into basketball, and he came up to the wrestling room, and he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, I'll beat you here. Like, I'll beat you here. And he just kind of like surprised me, and we fell on the ground, and he like, oh, see, I won takedown. And I was like, that's not a takedown. You didn't even score a point on me. And if you don't wrestle at all, this makes no sense to you about points. And even if you have watched, you're like, this is weird. I don't know what I'm watching. I understand that. But I was like, that's not a point. But whereas good friends could just laugh it off, there was something inside of me secretly, and if you have friends that are better than you in everything, and they're older than you, and they're cooler than you, and they have all this stuff, what turned into what was just two guys messing around turned into me with like anger. And he's like, oh, see, I beat you in wrestling, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And I got furious. So I do what everybody does when their best friend is like a foot taller than him, about 100 pounds bigger than him. I jump on his back, and I just squeeze his head as hard as I can until he falls down, and his head's turning bright red. And our friends are like, dude, get off of him. I'm like, like a monkey on some giant's back, and people are laughing. He gets up, he's like, what's your problem, man? I'm like, you didn't win. Give me this one thing. He leaves. He's like, what is wrong with you, dude? You're insane. And after he leaves, and then, when you've done something, you're like, that escalated, and you feel so stupid. Also, because he's my ride home, I'm like, hey, and I just remember, like, the problem wasn't Steve. Steve was awesome. Here's the thing. He was a giant, literally the nicest guy in the school, though. The nicest guy, which also made me kind of mad at him, too. But I was like, dude, I'm sorry, man. And I wouldn't admit it because it's not what like you do at that point, and
it's whatever. And I just remember feeling so dumb because of this idea of jealousy. There was resentment in my heart. There was anger and this junk that, like, instead of just like, who cares? Like, we're just different people. It's fine. And I have my stuff. He had his stuff, and we were good at the things we were both good at. But I just saw the things that he was better at than I wasn't. And I never recognized, like, there was things that I had in my life that were going for me that he didn't have. And it was just one of those crazy things that we all suffer when it comes to this idea of comparison, because comparison can turn into jealousy. And it's the same thing when you're an adult flipping through Facebook, or, I said adult because you guys aren't really on anymore, but we compare ourselves to other people's lives. It's the same thing on Instagram when we start flipping through things and thinking, I wish I looked like that. I wish I had those things. Why can't my life be like that? Why couldn't I go on that trip? And so we can start becoming jealous, comparing ourselves to our friends and people we love, and it begins to hurt our own hearts. And we see that in the story between David and Saul. And I think you guys hit on some of this earlier. And so you have David, who, David and Goliath, and he slayed Goliath. And after he defeated Goliath, King Saul, who was king over Israel, was like, I'm going to promote you. Man, you did awesome. And Saul loved David. And he's like, hey, you're going to be a part of my family, and you're going to be a part with me. And I want to have you, like, you're going to start leading our armies. As David grew in wisdom as a general and a military leader. And when you look at 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 5, he said, whatever mission Saul sent him on, David was so successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. And this pleased all the troops and Saul's officers as well. So at the time, David is doing awesome, and he's so good at what he's doing, and he's got a really brilliant military mind. And Saul's like, you are awesome, David. I love you so much. I'm going to put you at the top rank of my army, which is awesome, right? But then things started getting even better. David became that friend that was even better than Saul. Even better, you got the friends that are better than what you do. And all of a sudden, Saul's heart began to change. And it says in verse 6, it says, when the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, and the women came out from the towns of Israel. It's always the ladies, all right? This is what started the jealousy. The women came out in the towns of Israel to meet King Saul, singing and dancing with joyful songs and timbrels and lyres and these instruments. So imagine you're King Saul, and you're coming home from victory of a battle, and all the ladies come out, and they're like, oh, King Saul. And you're like, that's right. Okay, hey ladies. And he's going through, but then they begin singing this song. So imagine you and your buddies, you come home, and they're like, oh, the team's done this, And he says, and they danced and they sang, Saul has slain his thousands. And King Saul's like, that's right. King Saul slayed the thousands, we've in victory. And David his tens of thousands. Wait, what? And everybody's celebrating and singing, and they're like, David is tens of thousands, meaning David has done even more than what our king did. And all of a sudden, Saul's heart changed against David. He began getting jealous of David because he was comparing, well, they sang this about me, but they sang that about David. And as a king, his life began to express like more jealousy because of comparison. It says, from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. Oh, I'm watching you. Because now all of a sudden, his love for David was literally doing the same thing he was supposed to do. He was supposed to have victory, but now Saul was upset about it because he was getting more attention. I want to share this verse, and we're going to go to small groups here in a second. In Proverbs, which is crazy because this is David's son eventually would write so much of the book of Proverbs. He says, a heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. A heart of peace gives life, but envy, which is jealousy, rots the bones. And that's Proverbs 14:30. And I think that's such an amazing verse because when we have our friends, like even in this was my best friend. And I realized like how quickly all of that anger, it could have ruined a friendship. If we weren't so close friends, and I was acted like such a jerk to him because inside my heart was rotting towards this guy that, we were we're buddies, we're close friends. We rode to school every day. In the mornings, we would drive to school, and before we got out of the parking lot, like we committed, we would just pray right there in the car. Like this was the first person that I actually had any sort of accountability with, and we would pray together before we got out. And this was this friend that I turned on because inside I was like jealous of what he had and what he did. Envy rots the bones. And we see that start to happen in Saul's life to a point eventually, and I don't want to get too ahead for next week's lesson, but eventually he wants to kill David. His heart grows so cold, he wants to kill David. And Saul's jealousy towards David, when it says it rots the bones, it leads to death. Saul's jealousy against David would eventually be the death of Saul. It would lead to his own demise. And so, students, I want you to think like the feelings we get when we start to compare ourselves. This is one of the biggest dangers of social media. There's a reason that it shows that in our lives, young or adults, that our hearts are less satisfied and more ridden with anxiety after we get off social media. And it doesn't matter your age, because we're constantly comparing our worth to other people, and it can start to grow jealous. It can start to grow jealous. And instead, we need to celebrate. And I want to end with the story, and I was really reluctant to share this because it's very transparent. I'm going to be very honest with you. We have a new pastor, and his name is Joel Carpenter. And I love, Shut it. Because I'm about to share my heart. No, here's the deal. I love Joel. I love Joel. Joel, part of the reason Joel is even introduced to Randall is because Andrew and I, like I've known Joel for a few years now, and I'm like, hey, this guy would be great. This guy would be great, especially, and I knew they were kind of looking at young adults. I told Randall, like, hey, we got a guy coming out and speaking at Fall Escape. It's a buddy. He married Shelby, who Shelby used to be a student out here. I've been Shelby's pastor since she was in 7th grade. I love this guy. May come out and hear him. And so part of the reason Joel got hired here was from, like, he's awesome. But there's a little bit of jealousy in my heart. Because here's the thing. Joel's around, and Joel's job is to take over for young adults, which means when you graduate, you get to go to Joel. And so there's a part of me that's like, man, we do so much with these students, and by the time they're like 18 and they're really catching it, like he gets them now. And it's awesome. And they love him. And that's good. Like, that's awesome, right? It should be. But there's a part of me that's like, but I want to do that too. Like, I want to be the student guy and the young adult guy because, like, I love when our students graduate and they're following and chasing after God and they continue in their walk. And I'm like, oh, I could do that too. Like, I'll do both. And there's a little part of me that's like, I want that, but I also want this. And I start comparing that to what Joel's doing and the cool things that Joel is doing. And it's awesome and I love it. But there's a little part of me that's like, oh, dang, like, you know, and I do love Joel. He's funny. He's a good teacher. He has a great heart. Beyond, like, you know, you guys mess around with him a lot, but, dude, that guy loves God so much. And there's a part of me that's like, but I want to do what you do, and I want that also. I want that. I want more. You know, like when you're like, I have this, but look what my friends have, and they have more. And I should be celebrating it because, and I do. Like, I'm not like, I hate you. Like, I love Joel. But there is a little bit of my heart that's like, I want you to be here, but I also want to do what you do too. And so, here's the thing. Like, but my heart is, I celebrate that. Instead of my heart turning jealous towards a friend, I celebrate because it's so amazing that I get to hand off when you guys graduate. I get to hand you off to another person who's going to continue to pour into your life. And that is awesome. And so instead of allowing jealousy to take place, I can celebrate what takes place. I can celebrate those things. And so that is what instead of allowing jealousy in our hearts towards our friends and our loved ones, let's celebrate what that they have and celebrate what God has given you. And so maybe this afternoon is just a time to check your heart and say, God, where am I at with my friends? And so I'm going to pray with you guys. I know group time got a little short because the game went a little long, and I did want to celebrate Marin and Ethan. And so I want you guys to get to your groups and just go right into what we're talking about here today. God, I thank you for our students. Thank you for an amazing night. God, I thank you. I pray ahead for this Wednesday. It's going to be a very important night in our student ministry, and I pray that everybody here that can make it will be there. And God, just thank you for this idea of jealousy. We got to be careful. God, it can be in our hearts, and no one in this room is immune to this. It can hit any one of us. And so, God, we pray that we can learn from these things and learn to celebrate the lives of other people and not compare and allow our own hearts to grow jealous, God. Amen. All right, you guys, go to your small groups. Please try to go quickly and quietly and enjoy your week.